There should be somebody there, and the two rugs are in the garage. If not, I have my mom is actually running. She's downtown, but she's on her way there to let you in. So I don't need to keep you or have screw up your schedule. But no. She probably is maybe. In heavy traffic, I'm 15 minutes away, and I know you were already 10 minutes out. But if you don't mind, that would be so lovely. I think there's somebody is there, to be honest with you. But I can't get him. I can't get him on the phone. Oh, and then if you want me to, I can give you her phone number because I'm going to be in the class. I'll text you. Yeah, I can send a text. Thank you. Not a problem. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. So nice.
Still getting your house remodeled, eh?
No, I'm having I don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
It's like, but I'll tell you anyway. My daughter-in-law is having me do they call it a gender reveal party. It's so. I know, you should be laughing because I'm screaming on the inside. Give me one quick second. I FaceTime, send message. Okay. It's, please 1 second. So now the new thing is, Pinterest is creating crap that didn't used to exist before. So my son is having his first child, which is lovely, isn't it? I'm having my first grandbaby, which I hear is amazing. I think I can get over it.
It is amazing. And after a while, we kind of go down to what?
Is that right? That's what I'm thinking.
But the first one is like,
Yeah. Yes. Well, and I'm super excited about having a grandchild, with the exception that, and I hope I'm not online, with the exception that I have a 21-year-old son. I have a 20-year-old new wife. They've been married for this much longer than a year, and they're having a baby. Right? It always is, right? Yeah. I'm seeing your generation people stay married. Like my parents were married for 50-something years. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. Awesome. Perfect. So good. Okay, excellent. So my brand new daughter-in-law, who's been married now for a year and something, who hasn't had a job since she met my son, and he's in the military. So they're living off of. Yes, there you go. That's what I'm trying to say. Hasn't had a job since she met my boy, and he hasn't ever kept a goldfish alive. Right? I know, everything's fine. Everything's going to work out just fine. God gave me 2 kids. I kept them alive. I didn't smother them in their bed.
So you make plenty of money, so what does it matter?
Everything's going to be great. So my daughter-in-law now is on Pinterest, or she has other beautiful little girls who are in the same situation. So I'm doing the new thing is a gender reveal party. And I'm so dumb, I'm like, and this lovely little girl ran away with my son to get married and didn't have a wedding. So she never they got married.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember how happy you were.
Oh, I was thrilled.
So what's the party in
The gender reveal, so I'm having,
oh, it's gender of her
baby.
Oh, I thought everybody that went, they were going to discover whether they were trans or.
Oh, it's I thought this before you discovered. Oh, the Discover Your Sexuality party is next weekend.
That's what it was. And I thought, well, I'll just go
Why
for
is
it.
that
recording?
And you're all, and you're all like, what? You're just, whatever, Teresa, you want to do. My
Do we
next
know
slide.
do we know what colors we're doing?
No, we're developing this. So, when I went to see my niece, I was told when I got back by my brand new daughter-in-law who doesn't know me very well, that I was kind of falling down on the job on the gender reveal party. I am. I'm going to have their drinks are going to be alcohol free, not so much mine. Great. I'm just waiting for somebody to make one, and then of course we have like a whole side of the family that's never met each other, so it's going to be wonderful.
Yeah, I might have to figure out that one.
Right? So we're ready to schedule, right?
You know, I
Oh, wait,
have-
we're at East 40th. Okay.
Me too, I think, I know where they're coming from.
Right.
Damn, I wish I had a
I know. It's been our divorce. I know what those are.
She said.
Yeah, to talk to you. I think
I went to this,
the time that I called her.
Okay.
I'm gonna go in the office.
Yeah. Okay.
No need to call.
Oh my gosh.
I still think that friend,
686.
friend of mine.
So what she spent on this course.
I know the gender reveal party. Are you gonna be a woman?
I think they are.
And who is it that's gonna be revealing?
Who is gonna be, you can make it really, you know.
I know, and I'm just like, it is kind of important that I figure out, that you tell me.
Yeah, I
So
know.
that's the part, that's the, when she like, guilt, like the dog. I got this text.
Or I can
this
tomorrow.
long, and I'm all
Right.
like,
The homestay. You didn't think I could get it.
You're the only person in the world who's having a child and no one has ever done it before, as evidenced by all of us sitting in this room.
Hey, hey.
Anyway.
Good. She look pretty today.
Very
What a nice weekend.
I did the same thing.
Oh,
But this one.
Kathy Fernandez late. What?
You know, I must have had a brain fart. Huh?
Yeah, because I don't care about that.
Carl, how are you?
I'm
here.
First, we're gonna introduce you today.
Oh, no.
I was
Me?
Well,
I'm good,
it's
good.
good to see you.
Thanks, man.
Yes,
How you
sir.
been?
Good.
Hello, hello, hello.
How's that going?
I need your email. I was gonna send you a points reminder. I didn't.
So
Yes,
it's
I did.
incoming or just.
Yay.
So.
Smart, yeah, smart.
My sister.
Just already made a good man ice cream, I brought.
And she needs clothing. You're looking at me like I care. She's trying to look.
Like, I'm not involved in that at all.
Okay, and she says that they're kind of like the same thing.
Okay, guys, let's not worry about it. Let's just everybody's waiting. Let's just like go on. Like, yeah, I know. Let's just roll out these listings.
I'm really sure I'm understanding.
Now, this is the exact same paperwork you have from last week, but I printed new with a new date on it, just in case anybody wasn't
Because
here.
you know how students are, they
Yeah.
bring their papers to class.
I swear to God, I'm going to.
Well, we can make it longer if anybody is still interested. I mean, I'm happy to do that, but hi, I'm Teresa.
Rolling down
Nice
the
to meet
list.
you. I don't think we've met.
So
Welcome.
rolling down the list.
Is anybody else looking for, yes? Is anybody else missing this? Would you
Rolling
like
down
that?
the list.
What's that?
Is that from last week?
Yes, it is from that last week, but if you don't have it, I absolutely would be, I reprinted one out for anyone who might need.
You don't have enough, I'll share.
Oh, I've got 25 printed, so I'm thinking that. Yeah, I'm ready. Oh, this is, right? You're welcome. Me. Oh, okay. So it's chocolate. Oh.
I made some chocolate.
It's readers.
You're welcome.
I can see.
So from last week, I'm gonna go ahead and get started.
Thank you.
Everybody, I think you're. So, are everybody ready? So, did anybody have any questions from last week or anything that you wanted to address or who? So Erin, you have a listing, you're servicing that listing right now, it's pending under contract, is that correct?
Correct.
Where are you at with that listing?
Home inspection is today.
Home inspection is today. Are you in a full body sweat like you should be?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because what happens when you have a listing and it's getting a home inspection on it right now? So home inspections, you guys, are go, no go for launch on whether or not this property is going to move forward. So probably the first most important thing for you to know when you get a listing is once you get an offer in, you are not out of the woods, okay? And it's a really scary situation. Anyone in here, I've got a higher end listing tip that you might want to write down and you might want to consider. Please start to consider pre-home inspections for listings. And can I give you a really hard and fast, and I'll give you the method of my mind madness, okay? When you walk into a property and it's over 20 years old, So what does that mean? That means that property was built in 1996, right? Okay. You ought to consider very strenuously asking that homeowner to have a pre-home inspection done. And I'll tell you why, what my thought process is. At 20 years, some of the major systems of the house can start to fail. You know, so for example, what do I mean by that?
Mechanics, heating.
Heating, roof, what else? Foundation, yep. Okay, especially if it's one of my favorite types of listings. We call them retro listings. Anyone know what I mean by retro listings? Old, like where it's not been touched by time whatsoever. You know, it's a little time capsule from 1996, right? And it looks amazing, right? 20 years ago, it looks amazing. Especially where a seller maybe hasn't done much to the property, hasn't done any updates that you can I spy with your naked eye, hasn't really, or properties that maybe haven't had a lot of what I like to call maintenance done on them. You guys know what those look like when you drive up, right? Okay, you're just going, they're not showing the best, right? So what I highly recommend when you're going and talking to a seller, and what would be one of the really compelling reasons why you might want to ask a seller to have a pre-home inspection, just besides the age of some of these units?
So that they can
Go ahead, James. James.
just make the sale go along. There's no surprises.
Right.
Set them back a month or two.
Right. How about this? Let's say you find out that they need to have a roof done. Okay. Anybody who here has priced out a roof in the last couple months? Anybody? Andrea, how about you? You had no, not lately. Lily, how about yourself? Between 7 and 10, that's cheap.
Yeah,
That's not a big. That's cheap. That's not a big roof line.
the 20 to 30,000 on the roof that my uncle just did.
20 to 30,000. That's probably a large home.
Yeah.
And it could be also like some repairing of damage and stuff like that. You guys, you really want to kind of think about these things. Look at a property. How about when you have a heating system that goes bad? The other one that's always the big fat unknown. Ooh, ready? You could have a brand spanking new well and septic system, and it could be trash. Okay, you could have a $30,000, $40,000 what we call Advantic system, and what really kind of cracks me up is some of these septic systems. There was a time period where builders were allowed to build large homes on inky dinky winky lots, okay, and they were allowed to put well and septic on them. Okay, then when it came to resell them, what were they finding out? When you have a well and septic, sometimes a large home on a small lot, okay, with a well and septic. What happens in that situation occasionally? Anybody besides me ever have that situation?
The system gets overused.
System is overused, it's failing.
No room.
No room to put a new
Back in the
system in.
house.
Yep, so now we have to put what we call an engineered system. When you hear engineered system, read extremely expensive, maybe not that great.
Your tank you have to pump.
Oh, right, yep, could also be stuff. Now, here's what the municipality of Anchorage says. Municipality of Anchorage says in order to transfer title, a well and septic has to pass. Unless it's transferring between family members, okay? So you can be willed or receive a property that has a well and septic. The well and septic doesn't have to be tested and pass. However, if you want to sell a property in the municipality of Anchorage, the law is very, very clear. It says that it has to pass, okay? And if you have to go and get one of those Advantic systems, you could be looking at a lot of money. Last one I saw put in was a $27,000.
Is that determined on the number of bedrooms? Because I've heard people change one bedroom and say it's no longer a bedroom, it's a den. And then
That's
they move
correct.
in, and then guess what? It goes down.
That is correct.
To a bed.
Did you have something, Adrian?
Well, you recommend that they have a home inspection. Before that,
Pre-home inspection,
I
pre-inspect.
talked to them about something I'm an advocate for, which is HSA warranty. That is
Sure.
at no cost to them
Sure.
before they do that, because if they do that first, well, then forget about that warranty.
Yeah, well, the warranty, I'm gonna tell you, and I wanna be a really big advocate for home warranties on one hand, and then I want you to face reality on the other. Warranties are going to help you in certain situations. Warranties are not going to help you replace a septic system that has a pre-existing condition and it's failed. So a warranty is not a Band-Aid for every situation. It could be a really worthwhile investment for someone, but home warranty companies are going to go in. It's on a per item basis. You do have to pay a copay on each of those. And if they can, I want to say this correctly, if they determine that some of those items have either pre-existing conditions or they're not covered, which they do, you're not going to get the benefit of that. So just please know that. Not every repair they get called out for is covered. Okay? They're an excellent company. They really, really will work with you. I agree with you. I think that is a fantastic idea, especially on an older property. And I like your line of thinking. Get a pre.
No money down.
Yep.
For 6 months, no obligation.
Yep.
The intention is to give it, and then now they just decided they'll add up to 18 months. The email came yesterday.
Oh, that's awesome. Yep, great. I'm just saying, be careful. It's not going to be
It's
perfect.
not end all be all,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it saves you.
But it's
a lot
awesome.
of time.
Can, yep, for sure.
Get it before you get the free home or don't?
Right when you list the home, you just send in the slip and, or call it in,
Mhm.
and they send you confirmation, and if the water heater fails, they come out and you pay your seller pays the $75, and they get the new water heater.
Okay.
And it did work for my recent client.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
he said,
fantastic.
thank you. Oh my God.
I love that you brought that up. Thank you very much. Anybody else missing this paperwork? This is from last
But the
week.
home warranty costs $500.
$400 to
$420.
$500 depending.
Depending on
And then you also want to be careful and add those upgraded coverages too. So now you have to add the heating system. If you don't add the heating
You don't check
system,
that box.
it's not covered. Yeah. So thanks for that tip. So again, who has filled out listing paperwork in the last 30 days? 30 days? Okay. How long did it take to put together that listing paperwork? Cradle to grave.
To get it filled out
Mhm.
by the seller.
No, for you to do it, for you to get
Oh.
everything together. Tell me what your processes are, John. Let's talk about processes.
I do my disclosures first. I do the authorization to sell
Okay?
and fill all those out.
Okay.
Takes me 45 minutes.
Takes you about 45 minutes, okay? All right, and how do you get that information to the seller? What are you using?
I print it off.
You print it off?
And I do that presentation
Okay,
face to face,
excellent. What are you leaving with the seller to have them fill out if you need to?
property disclosure.
Any other documents they might need to fill out? And, input sheets, excellent. What else? How about if the home is older than 1978?
Oh, lead-based.
Lead-based paint
I get
disclosure?
that. Oh,
You can have that in your documents, or you can have them fill it out. What other kinds of stuff? Sure, no, all the paperwork. Anybody are you electronically sending that to sellers, or are you presenting that to sellers? You're doing both, is that right?
Depends
Depends.
what their comfort level is.
And thank you for saying that. I really, really, really want to point that out. Higher end rolling out listings, you guys, has everything to do with the person who's receiving the information. It has nothing to do with how you like to do it. Okay? I think that's super important that you really think about that. There's a lot of people who are really super excited about receiving things via the email and being able to find out about electronic signatures and be able to participate in this. And they're thinking, oh my God, this is wonderful. There's also people who are really distrustful of having things coming to them electronically, or they actually want to see and read documents. Okay? So you need to find out who those people are. What's your smartest way to do that?
Ask.
Ask, yeah, ask them. How would you prefer to receive documents? I have the ability to send them electronically, and you can sign documents electronically if you prefer, or I'm happy to scan and email them to you. Anybody meet the people who won't receive anything by email? Okay, so, or they don't have email, you know, they don't trust. They have the, anybody met the folks on their computers that have this taped over? When it's the camera?
Oh,
Because they think someone can see them. They can see you. It's not even if, but again, who's watching? You know, you want to watch me do dishes at night, rock on, it's different, you know, you want to see me talk to my dogs. Seriously? Yeah, oh, yeah. Okay, but have you seen those people? Have you met them that they're scared of technology and they really don't want to receive anything? So how many trips do you think you're gonna be making to that house? A lot. So, John, you've been taking listings for a while now. What are things that you wish you would have spent time on before and then you spend time on now?
Making sure I have all the documents that I need.
So you don't have to,
So I don't have to go back again. If there is somebody, well, whether it is or isn't, I like to try and get everything in one shot
okay.
at each stage of.
So comparatively now, so you're making sure that all of your documents are ready to go. How about when you talk to people about the condition of their property and what we all believe is show-ready condition? You have a different conversation now with sellers than you might have when you very first started out?
Yes.
And what's your conversation like?
It's the better condition we can get the home in, the more compelling it's going to be for buyers, and the quicker it's going to sell, and the higher price we're going to get for it.
Excellent. Andrea, how about yourself? You
Well, I
guys-
like how he said he put him on their team.
Yeah,
He put
nice.
them on their team.
Nice. How about you when you go out and list properties that maybe need some help?
Well, just recently, my ex-boyfriend, kind of hard to talk to an ex-boyfriend on how
I
to do
bet it
things.
is. Well,
I
hey, my
gave
God,
him
you
a
have a
video.
listing from an ex-boyfriend. What?
I closed it.
Yeah.
But I gave him the video,
Yeah.
and we sat there and watched it together. Terry Pizza has a video you
Yep.
can borrow.
Yep.
And he watched it, and the next day he sent me pictures. His house looked so good. It looked like in the pictures.
Yeah,
like the video.
nice.
And he cleaned it was amazing. But because it came from someone else, not me.
Oh, so it wasn't, because it wasn't you saying it, you used an expert
Here.
witness.
Let this lady tell you.
I want to talk to you about the benefits you guys have on Realtor or a Realtor Mag, you guys. You ought to see some of the stuff they have. I literally just typed in home staging, which is home staging is kind of considered to be a thing, is it not? Some of you, anyone in here actually stage listings themselves? And if I were to talk to you about staging a listing, do you know what I'm talking about? Now, there's many different kinds of staging.
Picking up underwear.
It might. It could. But one of the things you really ought to do is take advantage of all the free resources that you already have available to you before you go pay for a whole bunch of other resources. I'm a big believer in free. I'm also a big believer in telling people low-cost ways that they can really, really dramatically change the look of their property. I would tell you 150% if you want to receive the best value you could possibly receive out of any property, if it is, and I don't know a different way to say it, if it is Martha Stewart clean, if it is Ritz-Carlton clean, do you know what I'm talking about when I'm saying these type of things? It's kind of, there's something crazy about certain,
White glove.
white
Yeah.
glove clean, yeah. If
Sure
that
thing.
property, it does not matter how old the property is, it does not matter how retro the property is, it does not matter if you had, like 10 days ago, walked into a hoarder's house, and if it's now white glove clean, that property will sell. There is no substitution I can make for clean. I can't even begin to tell you, and when you walk into those listings, and those listings are that clean, everybody just kind of snaps to, don't they? And they look around, and they're willing to overlook things like dated, out of touch, not being perfect. But if the house is nicely updated but dirty, that house will not sell. Okay? And so we have to have a lot of harsher, I call them fierce conversations with people about the condition that they keep their property in. One of the things I like to tell people is you and I are going into business together. I'm in the business of marketing your home, okay? You are in the business of keeping your property in show-ready condition, okay? And has anyone in here sold a property recently, personally? No? Okay, so I sold a property in 2009. That's a few years ago. Anybody in here bought or sold between then?
Personally, yeah.
Personally?
Yeah.
Did you buy or sell?
Sold.
Sold. What was it like to have people coming to view your house Was it stressful?
It was stressful, but I like the staging. I take everything out that I don't need to live with. And I
Gotcha.
have less is best.
Right?
And I know I'll spend a little extra money to get the towels, the right towels. And
Sure.
everything's even. You know, the nice bedspread, but get everything out. And that's about my, I think, 9th time personally.
Mhm.
And every time I have done that within just a week or two, we get off this.
Gotcha.
Never have a problem, never had a problem setting it up. But I insist, everything has to go out. And I look at my house now and I often think, it's gotta go, that's gotta go.
Because I gotta get ready to go.
Yeah, and it's, you think that way, I don't know, and it works too, it just works. And they're old dated houses, 70s.
Sure, sure. But again, having it just be look crisp and clean.
Great, great.
Okay. Now, having myself had to go through the process, and it is it's now like turning out to be 7 years ago. That's shocker. But to tell you the truth, I felt very, very judged every time somebody came into that property. I was really worried about people coming in that home. Okay. I want you to just think about what an overwhelming burden it could be. Anybody here have kids besides me? You know what an overwhelming burden it can be to ask a family to keep a property in show-ready condition. I mean, it's rough, okay? And not every day am I leaving my house with everything looking just so, okay? So asking somebody to keep their property in that condition. Now, hey, if it's unoccupied and it's empty, that's one set of circumstances. If it's occupied, it's really difficult. How about people who've got babies and dogs and cats, oh my, and all that other kind of stuff with all that other paraphernalia. So I would even tell you, a lot of you want to rush to get properties on the market. I'm going to tell you that I don't mind, and it does depend on your relationship with the seller and whether or not you can have a compelling argument that holding a property off the market in order to get it ready to list might be a super smart thing for you guys to consider doing. That's what we talk about sometimes about rolling out a listing. Because I don't know about you, but have you been on the MLS and seen photos where obviously the family was not ready for those photos to be taken? There are websites out there that are bad MLS photos. There's a book out there somewhere on bad MLS photos. It's terrible, you guys, the photos that people have taken. You know, people that, like there's one infamous one that'll make its way around Facebook where this guy is sitting in his towel having his photo taken of his bed, not me. And you can just see, him looking at the realtor, like, seriously. And I'm thinking to myself, realtor, why are you taking this photo? But that's all that let's throw that on the MLS because that's what we should do, right? Look at this amazing bedroom with naked guys right there. I'm still telling you.
Put that on the list.
I know, let's get that on there. It's hysterical.
Teresa, can you talk a little bit about tenant occupied property?
Yeah, oh gosh, and I really do want to
That's what I was.
killer.
So say you had one of those. And
Yep.
you told they had to clean it.
Yep.
And they call and they say, oh, it's all spotless, it's perfect.
Yeah.
You get there and.
Yeah, well, one
So
of the,
how do you,
as a listing agent, I actually try and engage the owner if I can. Now, here's what I've done. Are you ready? I've bribed people. I've bribed them. I've gone and I've ordered pizza. I've brought beer. Okay, and I'm not even kidding. And I said, look, my friend, I understand that this is a really rough situation. I want to make it as easy on you as I possibly can. Let me try and make this convenient for you. But here's the deal. This property is on the market and it's being sold. What I can tell you is if you don't make good impression or you don't have good relationship with that tenant, they're going to go out of their way to screw the deal. I promise you. Okay? And by the way, ask yourself, if you were renting an apartment, after how many showings would you be over it? It's about 2 showings. They are over having their life disrupted and having people come to the door. Then we start moving into going out and doing 24-hour notices. Okay, that's rough, guys. One of the other things you need to be really careful about is when you do have tenant-occupied properties, you need to really start asking some hard questions. So if Amanda's going to call me and say she wants to set up a showing, I'm going to be like, Amanda, are these buyers qualified? Well, Teresa, now they're qualified. I'm like, no. Who are they qualified with? can they get financing on a duplex? What kind of financing are they getting? Because I know that some properties should not have all kinds of financing, you know what I'm saying? If you've got a rundown duplex, it should not be listed FHA financing, guys. Do you understand why I'm telling you that? Hey, John, tell me why I'm saying that.
Because the requirements for the condition of that property are much higher than conventional.
Right.
Couldn't really define
They,
it.
you know, so I know the
Have to
person,
fix everything.
yeah, they're gonna have to do a whole bunch of fixes. If you've got a seller who doesn't have any money, and we have a tenant occupied property, let's walk this out. How am I gonna get this done? So I'm not offering FHA financing. Okay, and FHA financing for a duplex buyer is entirely what they want to do because that's the low down payment. Okay, so you've got lots of FHA buyers out there wanting to get multis. But here's what I'm going to tell you: you're going to start asking questions. You've got an FHA. Now, if you've got a good property in good condition, no problem. But if you've got a property in condition, I'm not taking FHA financing, and I'm not putting it on my listing. And I'm also asking Amanda really hard questions before she gets that buyer in there. You know, what is the situation of these people? Are you going to be asking for closing costs? Okay, what about repairs? What are they looking at? You know, why would you want to be doing that on the front end versus irritating that tenant by letting them in? You're protecting your client, okay? Then what happens, here's the really shocker news, guys. You got to be really careful when you've got these tenant occupied properties because a lot of times the seller can't afford for that tenant to leave. That's the one that really gets you. You can't afford for that tenant to leave. So you've really got to work with that tenant to get people in. Another thing that you could do with the tenant is you could say, hey, I'll try and set up all showings at one day of the week. So how about when you're at work, how about we make it so at Thursdays between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock, you'll give me a 2-hour window and I'll pile every showing I can possibly pile into that window. You all know that you can put lockbox hours, you can adjust your lockbox hours. Okay, that can be really powerful because now I'm enticing you as I brought pizza, I've gotten a 6-pack of let's all liquor. You like me now. I mean, you can see that I'm working with you, and I'm trying to establish a time and something. Yes.
So I have a buyer.
Yep.
And what most of the listing like is they look 1 unit vacant and they put in the remarks saying make offers. Yeah, I even had like one buyer like, well, I won't want to make an offer unless there's 60 other units. And they won't.
That's correct.
The only way. Yeah. So on my offers, I just include that date, and I'm careful with writing buyer to you will approve before we get to the home inspection thing, so that then this is what I think. But yeah, no, I noticed that now, like, it's not home.
Yeah, that's a really big deal, you guys, because and don't be shocked if you've got somebody who's asking you some harder, qual questions on your buyer. And also, if you have a marginal buyer, do not know what's going to happen. You know, this is something that's really old school. Okay, and I think Kelly might back me up on this. Old school real estate said if you have a marginal buyer, what do I mean by a marginal buyer? Doesn't have money in some way, shape, or form. Okay, and I also will say somebody who maybe is someone who doesn't have a lot of skills. Okay, and by skills I mean, do you own a screwdriver? No. Okay. If you don't own a screwdriver, and I'm not being a jerk about this, I'm just trying to say in reality, I do not want to take a marginally qualified buyer and move them into a fixer home. Okay? Because they're a hot water heater away from not being able to make a payment on their home. So I want to take a marginal buyer and I want to put them in the best quality property I can possibly find. Okay? As a matter of fact, who knows what a really great property for a marginal buyer is? New or a condo? You know,
No deal.
well, but, you know, and I hear what you're saying about that, but why do I want to say as new as I could possibly get? We used to say a lot of new construction and condo if possible. What will a condo do for a marginal buyer?
Take care of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of support with having a condominium association, especially one that covers a bunch of the bills, right? So they don't have condominium associations, especially for big quality ones, guys. They have, they cover some utility costs. there's shared expenses for roofs, maintaining the exterior. They just have to really, especially on a full service, they don't have to worry about the interior of the paint. That's what they know. That's a lot less of an, that's a lot less of a burden for some new brand new buyer. And then they can, when they're ready, they can use that same equity build up and they can get the house, the next property, right? That's a win. How about somebody who has no money and doesn't have a screwdriver and you put them in a fixer? Okay, hi, think about your kids right now. I think about my children right now. My kid can't, I don't think, hold them back. I'm sure they're wonderfully qualified to rebuild the interior of their home. Right? So what do I want to make sure that they don't do? They don't go buy a property that's just totally going to be overwhelming for them. Now, with a well-qualified buyer or somebody who's really handy, you guys, of course, any property that they want to buy, no problem. Because if they're well-qualified, they've got the financial backing to fix it, or find somebody who can, or if they're super handy, then they can go in there using their sweat equity and they can build their equity that way. That's awesome. But you do want to be careful, because you know what? At the end of the day, they turn back and they look at you. Okay? But some of those things that Andrea mentioned, the home warranty, awesome, super smart. They can put on a listing. Okay. Now, when we're talking, any other questions on that? And do you bear me out with what I'm saying? Do you agree with what I'm saying? Okay. And do you find people trying to get into kind of some marginal properties?
Yes, and we do have those discussions.
Yeah. So know that, you guys,
That says thank you, council, too.
Right. So really trying to be careful. Really asking hard questions. I mean, I remember the day where I looked at my girlfriend who wanted to buy it, she was like really crappy property, and I literally said to her, I said, hey, you don't want to tools, you don't want tools, right? Do you want a screwdriver? She's like, well, no. Okay. And you don't have the money. Okay. So realtors, you guys, so you were talking, who was saying about the showing of the video? You were saying there's Terry Pieces video. Yeah, there's 3 or 4 different videos out there that talk about the condition of properties. Okay, and they're really, really great. And I think I'm trying to remember the gentleman who did them. They're starting to look a little bit dated. Is it Mike Ferry? It's not Mike Ferry. It's another guy, and you can get him on the CRS website, you guys. Yeah, I can't remember what they're called. They did it wrong. Getting your house ready to sell. Yeah. There were 5 of them. Yeah. But you know what? Here's what I would tell you on YouTube and stuff. There's a whole bunch of them, but there is a guy, a specific guy, and there's one gal who you can buy them at MLS, and you can order them online, and they're not popping up to you. Yeah. Yeah, but you know what? Here's the thing I can tell you. You do sometimes have to talk to people. Some people, because FYI, some of them are not going to function. Yeah, they're not going to do what you ask them to do. So you're going to need to actually talk to them. One of the things I used to do, and I don't know if you guys get Powder Bar magazine. I used to get Powder Bar magazine instead of just like throwing them away. I would actually bring them with me, and I would say, here's what a super clean, super stage truck property looks like. Now, I understand it doesn't have to look like you don't look for all Powder Bar furniture, but you certainly get an idea of what buyers are kind of looking at. Because here's the other thing: if your seller isn't on HGTV, those buyers are, and they have a very skewed view of what a property looks like on the inside. Why isn't every seller on Pinterest and doing all this crap to their home, right? I mean, just like you're not, right? It's like I don't live like that, so I don't know how other people live like that. Yes, sir.
One thing I'm wondering about is professional cleaning.
Yeah.
So, what does that cost? Cleaning down here, that's for professional cleaning. Would you pay for it? Is that something you pay for? I know sometimes it goes either way. Like the listing licensee would pay for photos, and the guy actually for money photography is like the folks who put on photos for
Yeah, they can, I just what that kind of probably depends on the price point of the property.
Right.
Depends on how they define it. So, and, I would tell you, one of the things that was really hard for me to do when I started out, I tried to make everything as uniform.
all common elements and only own interior paint. That does not translate to a property, okay, where you come with a city lot, okay? Okay, those are one-offs, okay, why are they one-offs? Yep. Then that's called, remember, there's several hybrids. So here's another thing that I want you to know about. So if I were to say the word townhome, what does townhome mean? Who knows? It's a
Two-story.
thank you. Townhome is a style of architecture. It's a two-story. Two-story, typically with attached walls, okay? And townhomes come from the East Coast. They come from row housing in the East Coast. Row housing, you typically owned, like they call them walk-ups, brownstones. You might have heard some of these terms before. They're 2 stories. A lot of times they're very narrow. They're very long. Sometimes they have basements, but they're from the East Coast and they're shared walls. Okay. Townhome is not a condo. Okay.
It's a duplex or a triplex or a fourplex, right?
It could be any number of different things.
But it's not its own entity. It's always at least shared walls.
Typically a townhome is going to come with a shared wall. Okay, typically, not there are a couple one-offs, but townhomes are going to be a style of architecture. Now, how that townhome is when was constructed and whether or not it has an association is going to be the killer, okay, on what it is. So residence to residence, condo to condo, multi to multi. Does that make good sense to everybody? Yes, sir.
Yeah, the only question I have is sometimes when I do a condo search, they'll throw in 0 lot lines, or sometimes when I do a residence search, same thing for lot.
No, the only thing I would tell you is you want to actually find out what that is, because again, I'm going to go to, there are certain structures that actually are condo, or they're also something called a PUD, planned unit development, okay? That some of them, so a PUD was what was built before there was such a thing as a site condo, okay? It's called a planned unit development. And does anybody know, off of Jewel Lake Road, there's a planned unit development called Rayan townhomes, okay? So it's a PUD, townhomes, up and down, attached, and that one comes with land attached to it. So you have like I don't know, whether it's a 1,000 square foot lot that your property was built on, okay? That's again, and those were built in the 80s, okay? So every single different, depending on what year it was built, depending on what the municipality would allow you to build at any one given time, okay? If they have an association, they may have to be listed in condo, okay? That's kind of the bottom line. If they have an association, they may have to be listed in condo. Some realtors may try and skew it and say it's a site condo, but it comes with a lot, so they're going to list it as a residence, okay? But you have to actually look at what it is and make sure that you're doing apples to apples or not. Another area that can really jack you up, let's go, everybody in your mind's eye, I want you to go to Independence Park. Why can Independence Park totally jack you up?
Because there's condos and there's
Townhomes, and there's single-family homes, and there's low-end single-family homes, and there's high-end single-family homes. Yeah. So it is really, you got to be really, really careful how you list a property. Another thing that I want you to be really careful of is I want you to go look at the tax records. I'm kind of always shocked and amazed sometimes that people don't really go check the tax records. What does the muni say it is? What does the muni say it is?
That's the bottom line right there.
Not necessarily the bottom line, that's what's being taxed on. And that's also what the zoning is, right? So that can be really important for you to look. And when you're doing a full search, one of the things I want you to really start to think about is I call them common delimitors, okay? Common delimitors. So one of the things, and we were talking about this the other day, you had a what? A one-car garage, okay? I don't care who you are, I don't care where you are, believe it or not, you can compare a 2-car garage to a 3-car garage depending. How do you like that word? Did you hear me say asterisk depending? 2-car garage to 3-car garage. If it's a large, oversized 2-car garage, it could be as big as a 3-car garage.
3-car garage, if it's filled with crap and you can't get a Volkswagen Beetle in it, is not that big of a deal, right, as a 3-car. Does everybody know what I'm talking about? Has everybody walked into a really eeny, teeny, tiny 3-car garage and you're like, what is this? You can barely get 2 cars in. Okay, so 3-car garages and 2-car garages, no big deal, but you cannot compare a 2-car garage property to a 1-car garage property. You just can't. Because the other thing is, there's so many 1-car garage properties out there, you have a lot to choose from, right? So especially in certain areas of town, if I were to, if you may know, like Jewel Lake has thousands of 1-car garage properties. So you've got a lot of properties to choose from. Area 20 does as well. Midtown does if you get into Windermere. Do you know what I'm talking about Windermere? Okay. But you got to be really careful with those type of things. How about square footages? What do you know about square footages? Doesn't include the garage. That's for sure. Be careful about that. Does not include the garage. But what else?
It starts to mean less the bigger the home is.
There you go. There you go. How about a 3-bedroom house versus a 4-bedroom house?
More often than not, the 4th bedroom is going to add value, but not always.
Not always. So a 1-bedroom house versus a 2-bedroom house, which one is more valuable? Always. Always. Okay? 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, which one is more valuable? 3-bedroom. Always. 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, which one is more valuable? Depends.
Most of the time, square footage, not always.
Depends. Depends. Isn't that interesting? Depends. So you really, really got to be careful because some bedrooms are built, they're so small that most of us wouldn't actually, I mean, if it can fit a single bed and a little nightstand, most of us really don't consider that to be big enough to be a bedroom. But a lot of builders, for a period of time, in order to get a 4-bedroom, they were building these dinky little tiny bedrooms. Did you have a question?
No, but real quick, I was on MLS this morning, and I was looking for a single-car garage, so I put in 2-car garage. Anyways, a bunch of properties, new listings came up. Most of them are Keller Williams. They say there's no garage, but you pull the photos up, and there's a double-door garage on the house. They're putting them in there as either 0 or carports quite consistently this morning.
And were you looking on the hot sheet this morning?
No. Well, I was on the hot sheet, yes, but
Is that
no,
where you
I
were
was
seeing
just pulling up between 200 and 225 listings in area 15 and 20. And I'm telling you, a ton of them said there's no garages, so if you're putting that in your search, and it's
You
only,
could miss them.
oh, big time.
Yep.
And the more I started looking at it, the more mistakes I started seeing.
And the other thing I also want to really try and help you do when you do CMAs, you want to try and get as large a sample as you can and start ratcheting it down instead of getting a super, super, super specific house, okay? So for example, when you are starting, start just in the area, okay? So like, let's do this. Let me show you. And we'll go, and I'll use my own neighborhood as an example, because I always like to know what is my house worth, okay? So we have 9,782 listings, this says, active, pending, and closed in the last year. I'm gonna go to my neighborhood. 513 active, pending, and closed. Too big of a sample, would we all agree?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we gotta, and what should I use, what should I really think about is my very most common delimiter in my neighborhood.
Legal description, subdivision.
I could do subdivision, that would be absolutely great. But one of the things I would highly recommend you do is when you're doing legal descriptions, can I ask you to consider a grid versus a legal first? Okay? You may know.
Because it's bigger.
Because it's bigger, thank you.
Use the grid, yeah.
Okay, so if you guys want to know where grids are located, it's going to take me just a quick second to find it. I'm sorry, because it's the way I have to do it.
You can find it on the MLS sheet.
Yeah, I can find it this way faster for me. You guys can do it for you faster. So here you go. Move to the second page, how dare they? So my grid number is right here, Southwest 2125. Okay, and then the other reason why I want to pull this up, just so I know, is so if I do want to go look at the neighborhood, I could do that as well. Now, and then remember, some subdivisions, you guys, are super small. Some subdivisions are really big. So the reason why I'm starting with the grid is because I'm trying to get the area, I'm trying to get it bigger, and then I'm trying to get it smaller, okay?
Do you
Go
ever
ahead.
use, I, almost every time I've done them, I do like a radius, like a
Oh,
half
okay.
mile on either side of the property.
And you
So
know-
it's a 1 mile.
Yeah, here's something really interesting. I think that's awesome. The only thing I can tell you is I learned how to do CMAs before radius searches were available.
Okay, so I mean,
So I just don't tend to use them. Now, not that they're not super valuable and that you couldn't do it. I'm just telling you that it's not the way that I have done it. So do you notice I went from 519 down to 30 just using a grid?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if I wanted to, we said we'd use the legal description. That's a great way to also do this. So mine was Whispering Pines. Is 30 too many listings?
Yes.
Okay, but if I only use, do you see why I don't like using just the legal description? Because it gives me 3 listings. That is not a CMA making number of properties. Does that make sense? Okay, that's too few. So that's why I don't like to use I think it's a really great on some, but I don't like to get it that low. I want to have more listings to look at, okay? And if they're in the same grid, why are they statistically good? They're in my same grid.
So,
Location.
Because they're all right there, right? They're gonna be definitely within a mile. And then within here, I can kind of go take a look at these and say, I should see a whole bunch of them that are in my neighborhood. And I can kind of see what's going on. I can look at some of them and I can say, okay, truly, that is not, that is too big. I can start looking at, oh, wow, I've got some 2,900 square foot houses. What do I know about? For me, I know my house is just about 2,000 square feet. So I'm saying to myself, okay, I got some of these that are I got some that are way too small. Do you see this? Yep, and then I've got some that are just way too big. But 30 listings, especially if it's in the same grid, it really gives you a nice sample for you to go back and forth. What do you know about ranches versus multi-floors? Why are ranches more valuable? The market deems ranches more valuable. I don't know that I deem a ranch more valuable. I got kids. I want them down in the basement. I mean, what do you think? Why do people think ranches are more? Why are they considered more valuable?
Only the
Population's aging.
population wants them because they're downsizing.
Okay.
There's no
But can you-
stairs.
Yep.
He told me it's because the foundation and the roof are the most expensive parts of the house.
Yep.
And it makes up the largest expense of construction.
That
So
is
it's-
correct.
so
It's actually not very expensive to add a second deck. It is, that there's hardly any expense if you talk to a builder. Yes, there's expense, don't let me get you wrong, but the idea, the foundation itself and the roof are some of the most expensive component parts of a home. Okay, so makes it more expensive if you don't go vertical. Isn't that interesting? Okay.
But if you're doing a CMA and can you compare ranch to a split level? I mean, would that be a fair CMA? If you're-
Typically, no. Typically, ranches, we want to compare to other ranches, okay?
And
And
that's how your
typically,
appraiser's gonna do it too.
yeah,
So,
Can you, I guess a derivative of this question, can you compare traditional 2-story to a split level in Anchorage? Because there's so many split levels.
the answer to that is yes and no. Yes, you can, depending on how large your sample is. You also, because I will tell you, some people have taken split level homes and completely decked them out, and they're just as beautiful, if not more attractive, especially if they've gone ahead, and a lot of people will go and put on an Arctic entry to kind of like take away what I would call the stigma of the split level. Anybody know why split levels were such a popular floor style?
Plans are cheap.
They're inexpensive.
They were super inexpensive to build. They were super inexpensive to build. That was and because you've got maximum floor space. People were interested in going, if you think about housing, okay, when I was growing up, a house typically was 1,000 square foot house was a large house. Okay? 1,000 square feet was a large house. Many, many, many families raised their entire family of mom, dad, and 4, 5, 6 kids in 1,000 square feet. So Having a 2,000 square foot house, you guys, or an 1,900 square foot house, that was amazing. These were massive housing, but they wanted, and remember, what do we value? We value big bedrooms, okay? And then they had like what we would call romper rooms or playrooms or downstairs basement areas for kids, okay? But one of the ways to going back to this CMA, you want to take a look at bedrooms and bathrooms, and you're kind of looking at some different things. You're also going to start noticing certain areas. So one of the smallest lots I'm seeing is 7,000 square feet. How about in your guys' neighborhoods that you're looking at? Okay, when you get into older neighborhoods, you guys, they have really nice sized city lots. City lots, actually, nice sized city lots are going to give you a higher value, okay, than you are when you're in the, what's a small size city lot? Have you guys been seeing some?
3,300 square feet.
Yeah. How about 2,000? How about a 2,000 square foot house on a 2,000 square foot lot? They're out there. They're called patio homes, my friends. Yeah. Well, they do have to have a certain distance, but you can get some dinky dinky, teeny tiny lots. When we were building these things called patio homes, a patio home too, just for you to know, is where you pull into a garage and typically the kitchen, couple bedrooms, two bathrooms, and a living room were above a double car garage, a couple bedrooms and a bathroom. So they were vertical, and they built over the garage. Okay, those are called patio homes. They're very narrow, and they're on very teeny tiny lots all over Anchorage. There was a period of time when those were being built all the time. So a single delimiting factor, you kind of want to go through here and you want to see, is 30 too many listings to put on a CMA?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dave, so how many do you think you want to have? What do you think a good number is?
10.
You think 10?
5.
5 is probably too small, I think, unless you're in a condo project.
Well, does it need to be a mix of like closed, active, and pending?
We do want to see a mix of closed, active, and pending. Thank you for pointing that out. And what is the most statistically important listings?
Closed.
Closed. Why?
Sold price.
Okay. And then now it is, you guys, you're going to start to see something else that I just want to start to point out. We're now in our second quarter of real estate. Would you all agree? January through March was our first quarter. Now we're going to start moving into the second quarter. Okay. So the MLS always pulls 12 months behind. Okay. You're noticing on here, there's a whole bunch of listings that say 1-5. I want everyone to know listings are numerical, meaning the first two digits of a listing are the year it was listed. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? So all of a sudden, there's a whole bunch of listings here that are in 2015. It's the first quarter of the year. That's fine. When we start moving into the second and third quarter, we want to see more of those 2015 listings drop off. If your listings are too old, okay, they cannot be considered. All right, so now, because we're moving into the second quarter, I've got to be careful that I take off any of the listings, and I'm just going to go ahead and do something. No, that's not what I want to do. Pardon me, guys. I'm going to just go ahead and hit the CMA button, even though I know all of these are not comps. I'm going to use all the results. Is that okay with everybody? And I'm going to run over to this last button right here. Most of you won't use. I like it. It's a statistical CMA. And going back to what Amy was saying, she was like, you may not want to go do a CMA where you don't want to go do a full CMA when you haven't seen the property, the inside of a property. Does that make sense? But there's nothing wrong with doing a quick statistical CMA, because what does this tell you? Statistically speaking, in my grid area, there's 3 properties that are active, there's 3 properties that are pending. That's a super good sample, would you agree? There's 24 properties that have sold. Okay, so a couple things I know is there's 24 properties that are sold. That's probably too many, okay? So that's okay. I can kick a lot of the sold out. But what is this telling me? This is telling me that sold price, 125,000 to 469. All right, so right now that spread is too large. Do you see that? So I want you to be on this overall where it says sold, and I'm right here. Right here, right here, right here, okay? That spread is just too big. 125, a high of 469. If I've got like $100,000 spread, or in some cases a $50,000 spread, that's where the money is. If that's too big, so I can go back.
Do you do adjustments on a CMA?
I'm going to tell you that most people, I really don't want you doing adjustments. You're going to have to give me a total legit reason why you're doing adjustments, and I'll tell you why. Because if you do your CMAs correctly, there's not that many adjustments you can possibly make. And remember, what does anybody remember the appraiser said when she was here?
The less than adjustments.
The appraiser said, do not make adjustments. Because what is the thing that she's making adjustments on? She's trying to make a house that she wants a house to be as close to another house as possible. Not some of us putting in these wacky houses and adjusting them so they're the same thing. Okay. Plus all of the old school stuff that we have, like I have a list from appraisers that say a bedroom is worth this, a stall in a garage is worth $10,000. Those are out the window, you guys. You cannot use those. Okay. But one of the things you can do, you guys, is look at how far back some of these listings go. Okay. Also square footages. So I can edit this search down, and let me do one. Let me edit it. I'm going to do two things. My single delimiting factor on my particular house is that it has a one-car garage. So, oh, okay, look at that. That gives me 17. Better?
I guess one question I have is, like, so you screen out, okay, so pretty much the way I do a CMA is I do like a 1 mile radius, and then I basically put in a search that's basically search for properties that are just like the property I have, right?
But what are you using just like? What does that mean? Like,
Well,
what are,
I mean,
what,
if it's-
some
if
people's
it's-
spreads get really crazy.
Well, that's what I mean. So if it's a ranch with a 2-car garage, I look for ranches with a 2-car garage,
There you
about
go.
2,000 square feet, roughly the same lot size, and I try to find as many properties as I can just like it in the same area. The question I have is like, so then when can I start looking for like throwing a 1-car in, or do I need to keep spreading out further?
Well, what I would tell you is it always depends on the more listings you have to like bring it down, the better you can do.
So you would go bigger.
I go bigger to smaller.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
go smaller.
I
to
guess I
bigger.
go small to big.
Yeah, and that is absolutely typical of how most people try, because you really are, remember that the acreage is very strange, how it's built.
Uh-huh.
It's very in between different areas. So one of the things that I always, do you guys ever look at, or have you ever paid attention? Used to be a really big deal. I don't see as many people doing it as they used to, but people don't look at the areas as closely as they used to. So area 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. We used to talk all the time just about areas. Okay, so for example, I'm very attuned to area 15. I'm very attuned to what constitutes the boundaries of those different areas. You guys don't seem to be, new licensees seem to be as attuned to the boundaries, okay? Because when you get area 40 and 45, if you're not really careful with your CMA, when I do a CMA, I have to do both areas.
Rogers Park is one, and then
Correct.
Boniface to
Correct.
Muldoon is the other.
Correct. That's
Sure,
exactly
lots
my
of different-
point.
yeah.
If you're not super careful, or if you don't know that if it's a house in Rogers Park, I have to stay in Rogers Park.
Yeah.
If you try and go outside of Rogers Park, pretty soon you're going to be over in Geneva Woods. That is not the same thing as Rogers Park. I mean, it's really easy for people to not stay in the same area.
Hard to get a large, let's say it's not a great area, it
Sure.
only has a carport, it doesn't even have a
Well,
garage.
and let me tell you a super hard area to do. Okay, I want everybody in your mind's eye to go over to area 10, called Spenard. Spenard is rough. Spenard is rough. And hey, I'm a old school rocking it, and I grew up in Spenard, Alaska, by the way. So Spenard is rough because you have high-end properties, you've got tons of multis, you've got streets that have beautiful houses next to, 20 plexes, next to a trailer court, next to. So you have to be really careful in those really mixed areas. Making Iowa, there you go, perfect example. Iowa Street, Barbara, all of that off of Northwood, on the Spenard side of Northwood. Does everybody know where I'm at? You got to be so careful how you are valuing that, and you can't get out of that area. If you get out of that area, you're going to get totally skewed. Even a mile on either side is going to totally jack you up. So I think I like using legal descriptions, and I like using grids for me, because Anchorage is all gridded out, and it keeps a really geodesic area.
So, I mean, and with that view, you're really looking at property values first.
Correct.
What the houses are sitting on. So you're
Correct.
starting with property value,
Well,
and then building up from there.
Right, and then and then the other thing that'll really grab you too is like lot sizes. So when people really are all across the board, when you've got a 5,000 square foot lot and a 12,000 square foot lot, you got to really take a look at that.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the lot size of the house I'm trying to do, and then I go like 10 or 15 or 20% on either side of that, lot size wise.
Yep.
And just try to do stuff that makes mine the center, and then try to do stuff that compares on either side.
That high low.
Yeah, but
You can
and
totally
maybe
do that.
artificially building.
Okay.
That may be the problem.
But I
Biasing
can
my-
tell you when
biasing
you
my-
haven't been on the interior of a home, doing a statistical CMA is a really sharp thing for you to do. That way you don't get locked into any particular value, but what you do is you get an overview of what's going on with that. And then one of the last things I can tell you is when you start to look at, I love that they got I got a closed, a closed, and a closed. I got a closed at 125, it is 836 square feet. I got an average sold at 247, it is 1,333 square feet. And I've got a 2,392 square foot property that sold at 319. So right now I'm cluing into a couple different things. Obviously, square footage matters. Square footage matters, okay? So I want you to clue into that. Let's talk about overpricing a listing. Anybody but me ever do that? You've overpriced a listing. What's it like, my friend? Did you take it overpriced, or did you overprice it yourself?
I called him on Monday, so I think I get a point for this. And I said, now we've sold all their neighbors' houses, let's sell
There you
yours.
go.
And he said, okay, let's drop it 30K.
Okay, so one of the things that I really want to talk to you about, and every one of us sometimes makes a mental decision, okay? Would I rather have a listing or no listings? I've got people who swear that they will not take an overpriced listing, okay? That they've been burned on them, they cost them a lot of money, et cetera, et cetera. I've got another couple people that I really respect who says, I love overpriced listings. Are you serious? I love them. They're just they do nothing but generate other business for me. Now, I'm on either side of the fence, but at the end of the day, in order for you to get paid, here's what I know. You got to sell the listing, okay? What happens when your listing is not getting sold? What's going on? What happens when your listing is sitting?
Buying other houses.
Okay. All I can tell you is that one of the things I like to say is I don't like to pick on people. I don't like to pick on houses. I love what you said. I think that was a great thing to say. One of the things I continue to say to sellers is the market is rejecting your listing. The market is rejecting your listing. Okay. One of the things I can tell you is that if you are receiving no showings, okay, there's two problems with your property. Possibly number one, and it could be a possibility, and I can't tell you which one it is. Possibility number one is you are overpriced. Possibility number two is your marketing, which typically is your listing, that is the information that's showing up in your listing is not good, okay? And something we can always go is to photos. Okay. Obviously, I'm going to tell you, I don't think this listing that is pending
I don't think they did professional photos. But this property is still pending. But the photos they did take are nice, clear, and crisp.
Hey, can you do something?
Sure.
So my listing that I had up today,
Jared?
or Jared. So who was in there? You guys are in there? You were in it, right? You know what it looks like? It's a little, needs to be cleaned again.
Polishing, yeah.
Check out the photo.
Wow. Is that it?
Yeah. These are all the, so these were, a friend of mine who's an interior photographer, did these on Friday for me.
Okay, can I give you a suggestion?
Yeah.
It took you 16 photos to get to
yeah.
the inside. Okay, and one of your photos is of a lockbox on a door.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, I'm just telling you, it shouldn't take me 16 photos to get inside a house.
Thanks for pointing that out.
No, well, I'm not trying to be that.
So less is best, maybe?
No. I mean, how many photos of an exterior do you need to see? I mean, come back here.
Well, then what if they, for some reason, don't like the exterior, but they love the interior?
Right.
Yeah, no, and I just uploaded all those photos on Sunday.
And why, no, I'm not bagging on you. I'm not bagging on you, but so this is an excellent front of the property. That one, and that one, and. So you got three photos of the same exact thing.
Yeah.
No buyer needs 3 photos of the same exact thing. Now, there's the backyard. I would leave that on the back of the listing.
And those are all should have gone. I just haven't had a chance to go and organize them.
Yeah, that's okay. And by the way, nobody wants to see a picture of a hammock. Because why? Is the hammock staying or is it going?
Yeah.
Who knows? But do I need to see a picture of a hammock? Okay, maybe the basketball court. I don't, again, this is something I'm going to tell you, and this is not to bag on anybody, this is just a big bitch of mine. I like photographers to not take pictures of people's stuff. Okay, this grill is not probably staying with this property. So don't waste an MLS photo on a copy, and it's a beautiful stainless steel grill. If it's built in and there's a gas line there, that's a totally different deal. But don't take a picture of somebody's grill. Just like realtors, when they go into houses, you know what we do on accident? We square up on people's furniture. Okay, furniture is not for sale. If you notice professional photographers, they're taking pictures of people's rooms, right? They're taking some of these sweeping photos. Let's go look what I'm talking about.
So you can move the furniture to take the picture, but then you obviously have to put it back if they're.
Not necessarily. This is what I'm talking about. See, some of the realtors I see will square up on that. They'll square up on the fireplace, for example. Which did he go add in the fireplace?
You betcha.
Nice. That's super quality. But this photo actually shows the entire room. It's not squared up on the couch or the fireplace, is what I'm trying to say.
So what did you say? He added the fire after?
Yeah.
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 Photoshop it?
Yeah.
He actually sends us photos. He hasn't edited them.
The seller did the photos?
Do you think you should name them something a little zazzier?
Like I said, I dumped him in on Sunday night.
Yeah.
He sent me the link, and I didn't have a
And
chance
you just
to.
upload it.
Angela College
to-
always has these beautiful words for each thing.
Yeah, so I took a set of photos and put them up there, and they were all right, but not as good as.
Oh, my
Okay,
God.
now there's a photo for the ages. Why do I not want this photo in here?
Marketing to a laundry,
Tearing up your property, it's making it look.
And here's the downstairs, right? Oh, there you go. There's the added fire in the fireplace. So these are good quality photos. I think they're good quality photos, no doubt. But overall, it looks pretty clean.
Well, my point was, aside from, so you were in it, and you were in it, and you were in it. Do the photos look better than when you were in there?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Bingo.
So what's your point? What is your point?
Well, you were talking about marginal photos, just talking about you can present the property.
Oh, absolutely.
And drive traffic, even though maybe it's not beautiful.
So, but if the difference would be is, do you have people coming to see it? And if you have a lot of people coming to see it, then the photos are fine, but if people are making offers and they're coming and they're walking away,
No offers.
then it's the
The
inside.
pricing's too high.
Might tell you that.
434?
And we have to, we have to
3,000 square feet, 434 is not terrible.
Oh, 3,000.
3,000
Yeah.
square feet, not terrible.
Gotcha.
It's a little funky, it was funky to price. I think it's too high, like Cecilia said, it's
Like how
gonna sell
much do you
for
have?
like 30,000.
So she thinks it's gonna sell for 404.9.
399
Well, and
maybe.
then here's
That's what we put.
So here's another thing, you guys. So although tax info is not going to be a absolute bang on, one of the things I like to do is, your tax value is 367. So 10% of 367 is $36,000. So you're almost pushing
15.
25% of tax, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
And by the way, you're gonna be shocked and amazed to find how many people actually do a percent. There's a lot of people whose entire pricing strategy on properties is a percentage over tax value. 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%. Okay, and if you go look at their listings and you determine what percent over tax. So I'm showing 367. Does that sound right?
I think that's with the exemption.
Nope, that's not showing the exemption. That's the assessed
Oh,
value.
okay, good, okay. Yeah, we had this conversation. I mean, when you look at just the square footage basis of it, it's like 140
Square footage
for a square.
is deceptive because several
Yeah.
of those rooms were like really weird little.
In the downstairs, yeah.
Time out for the kids.
Yeah, they were just.
Seriously.
There was like an office.
Don't come out till your
Right?
homework's done. It's a little box.
Little nookie rooms.
No.
Nookie rooms.
Oh
my
God, It's all your fault.
It is.
All the gender.
That's what that house was
No,
used
it's just
for.
some of
Nice.
the.
Yeah.
No, I have friends that have the house with the Mickey room. Unbelievable.
Yeah, you are
kind of friends
20.
you have?
You know,
They have a bathroom.
Here-
giant bathtub.
you are 20% over tax value.
Yeah, we had this conversation. I was like, I think it'll go.
And back in the olden days,
I
we
already
were
told my
at 30 for a while.
Client, like, comments are gonna be that it's overpriced, and he's like, okay. Because they were like, square footage basis with like the other houses in the cul-de-sac, because it's on the same cul-de-sac, there's another house that sold was listed for $519, sold for $470, and they're gutting it and redoing it completely. It's gonna be it's a very.
Yeah, I remember looking at that.
So anyway, so land values are, and it's an R2 lot, so I mean.
Yeah, but
so-
FYI, going out there and say it's an R2 lot,
Oh, I know,
buyer.
I know. No. I think $399 and then like.
If anybody has done a study on that, the assessed values for the market prices.
All you ever need to do is do percentage, like start looking at percentages and you're gonna start seeing consistent. When you start getting right now in our market area, 20% over tax, you'd better have a stunner of a property. Okay,
What's the norm then? 15?
10 is pushing it.
What are
10
the appraisals
is
usually
pushing.
come in at?
So, what's that?
What are the appraisals usually come in at?
Appraisals?
That's what I'm
depends-
saying, I
depends on
wonder
your
if there's
property.
been that study done of what the assessed value actually was and what the appraisals.
But
came in at.
anyway, long story short, how do you know that you have an overpriced listing? What are some of the things you can say to a seller to get this price where it needs to be? Because at the end of the day, you don't get paid until this property closes.
If 15 people have looked at it and you don't have an offer, then you need to make an adjustment somewhere.
Okay, so what are the two things that a seller has control over?
Cleaning their house,
Price and condition.
price and condition.
Price and condition. There's only two things a seller has control over, guys. I don't have control over the market. I don't have control over interest rates. I don't have control over buyers. I don't have
Make it
control over the
available.
economy. I don't have control over the permanent fund. I don't have control over oil prices. Okay, I have control, my locus of control as a seller is condition of my property. You can always increase the condition of your property. Okay, and price. Condition and price. You can price for condition, okay? You cannot condition for price. Yeah. You can price for condition. Oh, you want more? You want more of this?
I would really like, I think about asking Kathy,
What's the numbers that she used?
where you
20%
retire,
over
right?
I say that.
with
That's
the
right,
house
lady.
number.
Seriously,
And you're using the.
Yes.
how to, encourage, if you go to a listing, go for a listing, how to
So did they
run
buy
a
it?
listing appointment so that you don't lose the listing and yet you give the, possible client opportunity and incentive to clean and fix the property. Because the house that I personally live in now, when I first saw it, it was really cramped. Because they bought that on that it was a seller's market.
Sure.
And even everybody else.
Well, and what is your opinion right now? You make a very good point. Is this a seller's market or a buyer's market?
Kind of in the middle.
It depends on which area, but.
Yeah.
Higher end, it's a buyer's, on lower end, it's a seller.
I think you're absolutely dead on, my friend. I think that higher end is getting very, very soft, and how do you know that?
Oil's moving out and health workers moving in.
Probably, I would tell you that, if you were to go and look at, properties over, I think 600,000 or 700,000, I think there's like 67 properties that are listed over 600,000 or 700,000. There's only one pending. That should tell you something.
Which is different than 4 months ago.
They're just different than 4 months ago, right?
Mine.
What's that? One of those is yours, that's contingent? Is it with Linda Hoff? Okay. Where in the market is it?
Street, I think it's our road.
Is that just 620?
Is it with Nate Baird?
No, is it with Joss?
Very cute.
Oh, no, that's 620. So it's up 700 about.
I didn't know.
Yeah, no, it's, there's very few, anyway. But anyway, so, if you're receiving no showings, there's only two things that are wrong right now, okay? The property is obviously overpriced on the market, or your pieces that you have listed on MLS, there's something wrong. So one of the things, and again, not bagging on you whatsoever, Mr. Barnes, is you have 16 pictures before you show me the inside of your property.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so right now, I'm not digging through 16 pictures to see the inside of the house. Yes, ma'am.
You said something just a few minutes ago. You said you can price for condition, but you can't condition for price.
That is correct.
But what if they actually fix up the problem areas?
No, but what I'm saying is you can't, so, just because I go put in a solid gold toilet in my house.
Oh, you can't gold plated.
There you go. I can't continue to fix up a house and think that I'm gonna get, my house is gonna sell for between, 300 and 350 on a good day. I'm never gonna get, 400,000 for my house, even if I went and put a solid gold toilet in.
Gotcha.
That's, and then when I was saying that, that's what I meant. I'm never gonna be able to do enough to my home to get it to a $500,000 value. Unless the market pulls up to a $500,000 value. Okay, so I can't, it doesn't matter if I go put in, if I have Michelangelo himself paint the Sistine Chapel on my ceiling, I'm still not gonna get it, okay? So,
The point about my house that looks so bad, right off the bat, was, because it looks so bad, I feel personally that a lot of people passed it by, including, realtors, because I think when a realtor takes people in, and if the house is bad, they don't necessarily take another group of people in.
I'm not gonna say that's true, because here's why, and probably I would bet you a different market now. I've got buyers right now that are looking for flips. They're desperate to get their hands on the property that's crap. But it also has to be enough of a price point that they could do the flip and make money.
Because they came after I looked at my house first, and then went away, sold the house, came back. My house had just been sitting there. And I went back in the same agent, and the agent's words were, oh, he was stunned because it looked like a different house. And it was to my advantage because I ended up with painted walls and carpeting and doors that should have been there. So
Okay.
I like.
But I don't know that the market is the same as it was then.
I just think it's just another part of everything that's like
Yes.
When we were looking at your tax records, your seller has owned it 3 years?
Magic words.
She is looking
No,
for
no,
a loan program or some
Five.
sort of grant program.
So does your price point have anything to do with what they own?
You're very welcome.
She saw
What they owe on it.
something about Alaska housing.
Heard.
I mean,
I'm just saying
it does factor in.
Yeah, for
It
sure.
always, so you have to.
That's what,
They're.
like my,
So every single
where I got my
buyer
guy the
has
warranty,
Yeah.
he's bought him, he told me,
And she went
I
on their
wanna walk away with
website.
$0.
Their preferred lenders.
What I'm saying
And so I
is
said, well, why don't we do this? It doesn't cost you any money. And I turned in that warranty paper. And he said, everything's brand new. Nothing's gonna go wrong.
Oh, yeah.
I turned it in anyway. The day before closing, the water heater started piddling on the floor. And it wasn't a regular $400 to $600 water heater. It was a $2,400 water heater. They paid $1,500. He's still thanking me. It's been a year since we closed. And he simply wanted to walk away with nothing.
Sure.
A little bit of the story there, Chris.
You should be able to.
It's a little bit of the story.
Yeah.
Financially or physically.
I'm in that warranty thing.
But a lot
You
of
don't
us
pay
do
for it.
financially.
And if they don't have full credit,
So people can.
they don't get the warranty.
I mean, I couldn't hardly believe that.
Is there, any- so they're
Oh, the buyer doesn't have the warranty, they don't pay for
The
it.
seller.
And they always ask me, they're like.
You turn in the
I asked
documents to the
every
warranty company.
time. I said, well, if
I'm gonna
I have to walk
put
around the house
3440
because
dirty
I
circle.
Yeah, yeah.
It's good to
I don't know,
know.
we're still right, so
The biggest-
And
this
then-
like is paid out of closing.
Okay.
If you get a full price offer, if you get an offer that comes in at
I was like,
Right.
$420, then you say, you don't get a warranty. And then you pull it. But really,
Yeah, right,
if
right,
you have
right,
an
right.
older house, you want to offer them a warranty and like stand behind your house.
No,
I'll even pay for it sometimes just to make it peaceful for everybody.
I've discussed the warranty with them.
They live with
Yeah.
my parents.
But for somebody that's new, I just think, I think
Or
she's
she'd like me
not
to do it
pro
every
it,
weekend.
and I'm super
Their
pro.
income is somewhere to my parents. Like,
I've got
There's,
$3,000
this is this.
washer and dryer.
This is the
$3,000 on my house. And I paid
Okay.
$50. I know my dad's gonna go.
Hey.
So $50 a month is a piece of money.
My
Next week, they're gonna do
It
it.
is.
Yeah.
That's what the buyer has been.
After the
Year.
first year,
Yeah.
they can continue it if they want.
It was
or they can-
$50 a month for the first year.
But you have to put down the listing price, but it doesn't suppose it doesn't go for the listing price.
Then you don't have to get them.
I did tell them that.
They just sent me the new updated information on it.